everybody, Thrasher here. Right off the bat, I wanted to point you toward a resource that might really help you out in our physics class. Physics has a good amount of math in it, a good amount of algebra, and to be honest, I have students in my own physics class who, some of them are seniors and they have a lot of math under their belt. They're going to find the math easy, and if that's you, great, fantastic. Other students who take my class, maybe they're sophomores or freshmen, maybe just they don't have as much math experience, which is totally fine, but I have students that struggle with some of the math, and because of that, I wanted to point out this idea. One way you could get help with your math if you're having trouble with some of the algebra that we're doing is utilizing an AI program. And so I want to talk about what that means, maybe some caveats, and show you some examples of how AI can serve as a tutor for physics, mostly a math tutor, okay? Now, AI is a great tool, but it is just that. It's a tool to help us assist learning. And when it comes to math, it can be useful to help us understand the algebra that we're doing, but a few reminders to get us going. First, having an actual person to talk to, it's very likely that would be more beneficial, okay? Whether it's a teacher during class time, I tell students, I love helping with algebra. In my own class, you're going to see me whenever we do a practice or a lab or whatever, I am just walking around waiting for students to call me over to help them out, and I love helping out with algebra. But of course, it could be fellow students that you could maybe ask, hey, how exactly do I solve this problem? Or if you have friends or family members that could help out with this math, with this algebra, ask them, hey, how do I get started? How do I solve for this variable? That can be helpful because individual people, or like real life people, might be able to help you more with a back and forth, a more colloquial kind of conversation. It's maybe helpful for someone else to recognize what you're not understanding. Using AI is great, but if you're not sure what you're missing, it might be difficult to use AI to help that out or to get help with that idea. So again, having an actual person could be very useful. What I'm describing in this video is not meant to be a replacement from asking your teacher or getting help from a friend nearby, okay? So keep that in mind. Also, always worth mentioning, again, AI is a very strong tool. It is very valuable, okay? But AI can make mistakes, so you should not be just blindly accepting everything an AI program spits out at you. Maybe double checking with somebody else, especially in the beginning, could be helpful. There are other resources that exist, including websites, adults, teachers, again, I've already mentioned friends that can help out, things like that. For myself, I actually have my own video that goes over some of the core math concepts for this class. So yeah, AI is a good tool, but you could also watch my video. It's in this same series to get some algebra help as you see fit, okay? Now, what do I want to focus on when it comes to using programs like ChatGPT and other AI models? It's to ask help solving algebra problems. That's what we're trying to do. How could we use AI if you're stuck how to solve an algebra problem, okay? So what is that going to look like? What I have is just two examples of how we might use ChatGPT in order to put in a question to help us algebraically solve. If you're not sure what algebra steps you need to do, that's this first example right here. I just made up a physics problem and I made an example of what, if I was a physics student, what I might type in to either Claude or again ChatGPT, take your AI program of choice. Here's what it says. I need help solving this problem. You're kind of letting the model, the AI, know. Okay, and here maybe you just copy the problem from whatever handout or whatever practice you were given. A cat runs with a velocity of 3.1 ms and travels a total distance of 12 meters. How much time did it take? This is what I might type in if I was using an AI program. I believe I need to use the equation V equals D slash T. Maybe that was from our notes, but I'm not sure how to solve for time. So you can absolutely just put in what you think you need to do, and that might help tell the AI program how to model and what steps to show you to help you out, okay? So this was my example, and then I would hit enter, or I would submit this to whatever your AI program is. I have that same input right here. I just made it smaller. This is what I was using ChatGPT, but again, you could use your choice. This is what it spit out, and let's see what it's showing, okay? It says, all right, you're gonna use this formula. All right, nice. They helped me out. They reminded me, or they told me that, yes, this is the right equation to use. And this is nice. They reminded me what these definitions are for these three different letters. And obviously we would have gone over this in class, but it's nice to see this reminder if you're at home, you don't have someone to help out with, and you're like, oh man, I don't even remember what these things mean. Nice. They're telling us V is for velocity, D is distance, T is time. And it says, yes, we're trying to solve for time. And this is what I really like. This is the part I want to highlight. highlight, okay? Solving for time in this problem is kind of a challenge. You're solving for something in the denominator. I have a lot of students that struggle with how do you solve for that. And so what is this AI program doing? It's showing you the steps to solve for time. So you could follow along to help set that up. And then once you have your equation solved for time, you could plug in things and then hopefully get the right answer. You could also type in follow-up questions. Like here they're showing the steps and they're kind of going from this equation then to this equation. It looks like they multiplied both sides by t. But if you're like, why did they do that? You could try typing, okay? Right after you typed in this and you saw this response, try typing, why did you multiply both sides by t? I did not include the response to that, but what it goes over is like, oh, we need to do both sides to the equation, and we're trying to get t out of the denominator. So you could always kind of ask these follow-up questions to, again, help your learning. Now, real quick, team, we need to be careful. Just like you know theoretically that copying answers from your friend's paper doesn't help you, right? Like if you're in my own class, all I care about when it comes to your grade is, can you do these math problems? You copying down the answers blindly is not the same thing as you knowing intrinsically how to go about solving. So one thing that's maybe worth pointing out is that these chat programs might give you the answer, even though what we're really trying to focus on is learning how to set up the problem. One way you could solve that is kind of like by blocking, right? If like ChatGPT gives you the actual answer, I would try not to focus on it, or double check that you can do it in your calculator and that you get the same answer that the program is spitting out. Or something you could do is, what I did was I took that original prompt and then I just tacked this on. Okay, I want you to show me the setup, but please don't just give away the answer. You could do that, and then it would show you more of this, and then you would be able to hopefully try to plug in and solve, okay? Again, we're using this AI program to help us with the math setup, because you're not going to see this exact same problem on if you're in my own class, my quiz or exams. What you need to be able to do is be able to more generally approach how to solve these problems. So you're trying to learn the process and the algebra steps, not just copy down the answer, because that's not going to help you. We're using AI as a tutor. It is not replacing our learning. One more example real quick, then I'm done with this video. Kind of similar, using AI to help us with our math work, all right? In this example, let's say you had a physics problem, but you weren't sure like what equation to use. That is something that comes up, especially in my AP class, but also in regular physics. You might have been told, or you might have been taught multiple equations, but you're not exactly sure. Do I use this one in this problem, or do I use this one? It's a skill. It's something you got to build up to. So in this problem, it says, okay, a rocket started at rest. It says the acceleration of the rocket is 5.9 ms to the power of 2. The question asks for final velocity of the rocket after 4 seconds. We're given two equations, but we're not sure which to use. This is me kind of pretending I was a student. This is what I might type in. I'm not sure which equation. My teacher told me this one. My teacher also told me this one. Which one should I use? Can you give me some hints? So you type that in, you hit enter in. What does this program do? Again, I'm not going to show you every single thing from the screenshot, just kind of the key idea. Okay, it says, all right, we're trying to find the equation. This is what ChatGPT spit out. We're trying to find the equation for this scenario. And then what does it do? It reminds us, or it points out a bit more explicitly some of the info we're told in the problem. That's part of this skill. So this could be helpful. It's not super obvious, but based on this problem, the initial velocity is 0. I like how this program really spits that out so you can see that. It labels what the acceleration is in the problem and the time, and it says that we're trying to find the final velocity. And what I also like is that they described how, while you gave it two possible options, it says how, oh, you know, this equation isn't going to work. Why? The program tells you. It says this is only good when objects are moving at a constant speed. But that's not true in this problem. In this problem, there's an acceleration. So it's telling you, oh, this actually is not the right equation to use. It goes on. I don't have the exact screenshot. It goes on to say that, oh, this is the equation you should be using. And then again, it shows you how we could use this equation, shows you how you could simplify and how to solve for what you're looking for. Again, this may maybe isn't great. You don't want it to give you the actual answer. Maybe you just kind of block that out, or you double check with your own calculator that you're able to get the result, using this as a tutor to help you realize, oh, okay, that's how I figure out what equations I want to use, and that's how I do the algebra to solve for whatever it is that we're asking for, okay? So some conclusions, wrapping this up. AI can be really good, especially in our class, to help us with some algebra if you don't have other people that are able to help you out. Maybe you're at home and you don't have a buddy or a friend or a family member who can help out, okay? Also, you don't want to just be blindly copying. Like, if you're in my own class, I don't grade homework. So who cares whether you actually copy and get the right answer? I don't care. What I care about is in the future on a quiz, can you do this algebra? And I'm telling you, if all you do is copy, you're not going to know as well as if you use this as kind of a tutor to help check your work or to help guide you and giving you step-by-step hints to solve it on your own, okay? I would not use AI to help you for explanation style problems. Like some of the questions you're going to see in my own class and almost certainly in other physics classes is like where it's asking, here's a scenario, does the speed of the object get bigger or smaller based on what it says? So not really a math problem, but you trying to think about speed and the other physics topics. If you type that into AI and it just gives you the answer, one, that's not going to help you think about it. But also, I see a lot of students who do this. I see this all the time now, where students are pumping in these questions into AI, and AI gives an answer, and maybe there's a mistake, or maybe it's okay, but it's not using the words that we're using in class. And that's really obvious when I read an answer from a student that was just written by AI. It doesn't make sense, and that's not going to help you learn and get ready for the upcoming quiz or exam. So again, AI can be a good tutor. It can help you with the process of learning. It is not the same thing as replacing learning. And some students, they learn that the hard way by relying on AI too much. But when it comes to algebra, getting some support, hopefully you saw a couple ways how that can help you learn how to tackle some of these algebra problems. Okay? That's all I got. Thanks a lot for watching this video.